Glasses. I'm your host Lynn, and today I'm here with Noah and Sarah, the Hair Hub team, the viral app that has gone viral because it has created a place for us to pick new and exciting hairstyles. If you guys already do not have this app downloaded, like I do, that's the stretch. But you guys need to download it because it just has so many like exciting styles. I literally picked this style from the Hair Hub app, so make sure you guys go check it out right after this episode. So today I'm here with Nola, the founder of Hair Hub, and Sarah, our UI and UX designer and manager. So today I just wanted to ask you guys a little bit about Hair Hub, how you guys got started, what motivated you guys to push through and continue with a startup like this that's very different from a lot of others, and how you guys would continue to go forward and what advice you would give to other girlies in STEM. So Nola, we'll start with you. Where is your background in tech and how did you find this avenue?
So my background is actually in biomedical and bioengineering. I did biomedical engineering in undergrad and just finished my master's in bioengineering. So most of my background has been in more of like medical device innovation and creating devices to meet clinical needs. So that's where my passion lied because I was very interested in medical things and health because of a personal like family thing that happens for me. So that drove me to that. But throughout my, I guess, college experience, I've always been connected to my hair. It's a big part of our identity as Black women, just part of our culture. So that's something that always really stuck with me because I always wanted to try the newest hairstyle. I always wanted a new hairstyle to just express myself. And there was like a joke at my college campus where I had a new hairstyle every two to three business days, is what they would say. So that's just what I was known for. And essentially, when I was a student, I couldn't afford to get my hair done by a stylist like I would have. So I tried to teach myself how to do my own hair. And in the process, went through a lot of trials and tribulations, hairstyle fails, embarrassing things, to the point where like I went viral on TikTok for doing something really bad with my hair. People were making fun of me, so I had to live through that. But it ended up leading me to create like a platform where I got to share my own DIY hair care experiences. So it kind of started off with that, and then I decided to try to combine my like passion for just representation of Black women in STEM careers. So with my engineering background, but also in the beauty industry, because I feel like we are overlooked oftentimes. So I started working on a project to create like actually a random hairstyle generator. And then I thought about how I could create this thing, taught myself for 9 months how to code because I'm not a coder by nature or like by background. So I did that. And then I was like, maybe I should turn this into like a subscription service where we're sending products to people for them to try and learn what works for their hair. And then after like just combining those ideas and coming up with something that aligned with my interests, Hair Hub was born, where it's like just like a basically a DIY hair care. We call it an app because it's a mobile app, but really it's going to be like a platform for like people like us to engage with each other, but also find the educational resources and tools that they need to learn how to do their hair themselves affordably.
That's amazing. And I totally resonate with the fact that you said that like hair is like our culture and it's just like a way that we can express ourselves. I am the same way. At my school, everybody knows me for changing my hair all the time, especially during the school year. I love to try different hairstyles, new hairstyles, experiment. Sometimes I get laughed at, and that's okay. But you just
Right.
be open to trying new things. And I think one thing that a lot of Black people can just relate to is struggling with their hair. And I think that it's just really amazing that we can now have like a platform where we're able to see and look through maybe things that we were thinking in our head and see it as a vision on an app where other people can look at it and like it, and we can save it and we can look back at it and be like, okay, here's what I have and here's what I'm going to go through. But now I'm going to move on to Sarah. What is your background and how did you get to be on the Hair Hub team?
Went to a profit hobby, which is learning how to do my hair. Also, learned how to extra doing new stuff with my hair. So that stuck with me and stuck with me till now. When I got into college, it was my first time doing my hair on my own, and I was like, finally able to like fully express myself, like do my hair, like lots of new stuff that I didn't. So I've always been attached to figuring out new stuff with my hair. And one day, I started to TikTok and I found a lot. Like, hey, this idea is so good. And I was just a sophomore. I was looking opportunities to use my skills as a designer. And this idea is aligns with me perfectly. So I messaged her and got on the team and loved working with the team. I left the growth that we've had so like it's only been maybe 5 months of me working with them. But I can't even believe it was a team of 4, and now we have 7,000 people on this. And it's like, wow, like the growth is incredible. I'm seeing friends telling they're using it. Even you reaching out to us is like, what we're doing is actually making an impact on real people, and it's an actual thing. And it's exciting to be a part of the team. So, yeah.
Speaking of the impact you guys have had on people around, what are some of the like sweetest messages that you guys think that you've gotten after creating this app?
I think the sweetest thing that I've gotten was actually not on the mobile app because we started out with the web app last year, and somebody left a review and was like, I literally use this app every day. Like, this is the best thing ever. And even like the one thing that I saw in our review for the mobile app, they were like, I hope all of your traffic lights are green for the rest of your life. And I'm like, just seeing that people are seeing this thing and then having so much excitement about it, actually downloading it, using it, and then being happy with it is it's just like honestly a dream come true because I never imagined that it would be like this when I put out that prototype last year.
What motive
Like
like
for me,
mhm.
I think for me, it's even my last week I was on a podcast and I was talking about this, and I wasn't even around any people, which is like saying, I'm like, I don't know any talking about it. And literally 2 days ago, like, never just do it. Just like, oh, it's just so cool. And I just want to tell you that what you're doing is like really impacting me, really be going up for you. Like, thank you. And it's not even the people, like, she isn't even using that, but she's seeing like the value and the impact of it. So it's affecting even women, like just people in general. It's showing that we're making a mark in the world through this. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that's something that like you just can't overlook, like having people come to you and like tell you like you're impacting my life in a very positive way. That I don't think anybody it doesn't get better than that. Like somebody coming to you and being like, this is amazing. What you did is amazing. And I just want to thank you for doing the right thing or hoping that one side of your pillow is cold at night or hoping that, your lights never shut off. I love those. I love those type of comments and I love to see people win. But going back to what Nella said about the prototype, what motivated you to keep pushing when you were making the prototype? Because obviously in those like beginning phases, you're kind of at like the back of the tunnel. You're not really sure if that's a light or if that's like the ceiling. You don't know whether or not that really is the light at the end of the tunnel. So
Mhm.
what kept you motivated to keep pushing? What helped you to move through this experience?
It's actually crazy because when I put out the prototype in August of last year, the 9 months that I spent coding probably shouldn't have been 9 months, but I kept stopping and I was like losing my passion for it. But there was just like an event during my senior year when I started coding that I just like something clicked for me. Is like the feeling of me wanting to work on this may come and go, but the impact that I see it having is going to be forever. So I'm like, I just had to push through it. But when I initially put out the web app, I didn't know what to expect. But I kid you not, the very first video that I posted about it, it went viral. So I was like, this might actually be something that I should actually like work on for real and like turn into actually something that could make an even bigger impact. So once I started getting numbers, I did a few market tests, and then I came to like a professor in one of my MBA classes because during my master's program I got to take some business classes, and they honestly helped me. Like, when a white man validates an idea for black women, I'm like, yeah, they see money bags. So I'm like, they're validating that there's something there. They know that there's a market for it, and they know that there's the person behind the idea, there's going to be some success with it. So I was like, after I got the people using it, told them about the numbers that I had during that time, that really like validated me going forward with it and actually pursuing it full time.
Mm-hmm. It's definitely true. Black women, when they love something, they love it down. We support have put, effort behind it and push it. We can see it, like, whether it's hair products, whether it comes to elections, no matter what it is, when black women love something, they truly love it down. And I
Yeah.
just that for us, like, I love that, like, when we have something, we truly have that community experience. And I think with an app like Hair Hub, it definitely just gives black women something to relate to, because
Yeah.
it's not anyone who, like, it's not everybody who has like our type of texture. There really does need to be certain styles that we have to do to protect our hair. So having an app just for us, I think, just adds a little bit of, like, pixie dust to our day, because it's just for us. It's like a specialized place that's caring for us, a community that's not often overlooked, like you said, and perceived in not the best of lights all the time. But speaking of, like, when you were giving up and just like not feeling validated in what you were doing, what do you think were like some of your biggest challenges when you started coding?
I think one of them was getting people close to me to see my vision. I think part of it was I had spent 6+ years in school studying bioengineering, even going as far as to getting a master's degree. And then all of a sudden saying, oh, I want to pursue making a hair app for Black women. It kind of like people close to me were like, I don't know, there was like probably a lot of questions and like questioning my actions and not really seeing the vision just in general, because I will say, like, my parents are older. They don't really understand social media. So it was kind of tough for me to try to explain to them what I'm working on and also explain the success of it too, because they're not familiar with that area. So aside from like the business classes and stuff, I wanted people close to me to be able to support me. And it was kind of hard because there wasn't like a true understanding. But then also, it's hard for Black ideas, I feel like, to get funding and get supported. So I knew that would be a challenge going into it, and it has kind of been a challenge finding opportunities to get funding so we can expand our team, expand our product. So that's something that has been a challenge and will continue to be a challenge, but I'm very dedicated to pushing through that because I've spent so much time and effort on the app and even devoting my own resources to it. So that's not something I'm going to let keep me back. And then just also like the technical knowledge. I feel like that was a big challenge because I didn't really know how to code. Like, I had taken like one or two Python classes in school, but nothing on the level of me creating an app. So like I had to go out of my way to learn those skills to even like create the prototype and create the vision so that the developers could take that and turn it into a mobile app. So I think that was one of the big challenges, and for a while I couldn't see myself actually completing it, but once I finally got it out there and finished it, it was like I, to this day, think it's one of my biggest accomplishments.
It definitely is an accomplishment. Making an app is no easy feat. If you have ever tried to create an app, even if it's in the little like block, coding, to make an app it's truly an art form, because it's not one like, oh, you're just coding it up and it just appears on your screen. There's so much time and effort that goes into like creating high quality apps with or even creating the vision of an app. And I think that it's definitely a feat to persevere and not have known much about coding and to create a prototype like after 9 months. Me personally, I'm not really
No.
sure if I would have been able to finish it. I know myself when it comes to like the UI and just like making sure everything looks a certain way or can is perceived a certain way, that can definitely just be a challenge in and of itself because so many things today can be misinterpreted as something it's not. So it's definitely a lot of effort, time,
For
sweat,
sure.
blood, and tears to pour
Yeah.
into an app. But Sarah, back to you. I'd like to talk about like what were some challenges do you think that you first maybe had experience when you joined the team?
I think a challenge that we experience is like we've never, besides 2 members of our team, actually, we have recently started meeting. But at the point that I started, we had never met in person. And we were all different times. I've always been looking at projects where I've been in the same building as people. Like, even my previous internships, previous projects in school, I've been with people. But the same project, we're all in different states. So finding the time, like, and having the right communication with each other, like, I'm working on this, and I have this issue, how can I? So I think communication is partly something that we have been working on, we're still working on, and then we'll all be together, and we're all gonna meet. It'll be really cool to see. Like, you want to tell people, oh yeah, I'm working on this project, and they're like, oh, have you ever met with them? I was like, no, no, but we still seem way closer than some people that I even know in real life because we meet every other week. That's something that we all care
Yeah, and it just comes down to just like passion and love for what you're doing. And I think that that definitely shows through in, the way that the way that you guys just post on social media, the way that you have to fight for an app like this because it's not a lot of people who are gonna take the time to invest in a black owned product and black woman owned product because the demographic, the margin might be so small that they don't see, the vision behind it or they don't see where the dollar signs could be lying. They might be their eyes might be blind. They don't really know. They might not see, but we see what you're doing and we want to, uplift you for that. And I think that definitely working on a team with people in different time zones is such a challenge. I remember over the summer I worked with a team to create an app, and we're still in the process of creating like our own app to be discussed. So I won't touch too much on it, you guys. I'll leave it up for later episodes. But in the process of creating this app, it just took so much time and effort for us to coordinate, and we all lived in the same time zone. So for us to coordinate and just plan meetings and say, okay, these are deadlines that we have to reach, we have to, put these, rules in place for ourselves to do what we need to do because we want to see this app succeed. We want to see, this succeed. It's definitely not an easy challenge, and I can only imagine how much like how the challenge is now complicated by having different time zones. But I definitely think it just comes down to passion. When you're passionate about something, you're just going to persevere through it no matter how hard, the challenge is, and you can definitely see that with just the way that you guys like talk about your team. But going back to just like your team, how do you think your team just keeps you motivated? Sarah, you spoke on how like you guys seem closer than you do to people in actual life. So what is your like team values?
about. This is a question for me or for me.
Sarah, you could go first since you touched on it.
Yeah, I think we we really value like each everyone feels included and like for the people on our team and also like the people using our um, because I feel like there is a whole gap in the beauty industry in general for Black people. So we just want to inclusivity as one of our priorities. We really care. And just reaching out to our team members and we talk about stuff outside of just it's a very like good environment to work with. It's not like very stressful. It doesn't feel too serious. So to still be our like authentic selves, as you know, we're up to so within our business, I guess.
Yeah, to kind of add to that, I will say with me being, I call myself young, but everybody on my team is so much younger. They make me feel old, especially since I spent my summer with one of our team members all summer, and she's 18 years old. So she was like referring to me as like grandma and stuff like that. So it's like, I feel like I'm young and I'm a young business owner. So when I like thought about the team that I wanted to have and the kind of culture I wanted to have, I wanted to make sure that everybody felt like they could be authentic and be themselves. Cause that is how I feel when I go into like corporate jobs in my industry where I can't really feel like I am myself because I had this expectation of what they have this idea of what a perfect employee is. And it doesn't allow me to express myself and be myself. Like I like to throw a little bit of attitude and comedy and things. So like I can't always have a serious conversation. So they know that when we jump in our meetings that yes, we're going to talk about business and stuff, but half the time we're in our meetings like we're sitting in bed, I have a snuggie on or I have a bonnet on. And I don't think that they look at me less because I'm doing that because we're handling business. Now, if we weren't handling business, they'd probably be like, we need to find a new boss, we need to find a new CEO. But I don't think they would say that because I do that so they feel comfortable with me. And so they feel like that this is not like just something where they're just totally being used for their resources and to work. Like I really want it to be a community, really feel like a team. Cause I feel like over time we've gotten closer to each other, even though most of us have met now. Well, I've met most people now, except for Sarah, unfortunately, in person, but we've still been able to like cultivate kind of like just a girl group essentially.
I love that. Like talking about it, like the cheetah girls or something. I just love that. Like having a girl group. We're in a business meeting, but everybody has their bonnets on. I can picture it now. Perfect workspace. You don't have to worry about having half a blazer on and then no pants on the bottom. You only got to worry about just standing on business.
Right.
I think that just having a team where you're just able to be yourself is such a blessing because in so many spaces we hear a lot about in tech, like I covered in my last episode, that they're asking so much of the employees now to have this type of experience or this type of language down or know this or to have this type of internship where we're not going to take you, where it almost feels like you're almost smothered by like expectations and
Right.
having to know like, okay, this is the way I'm going to act, and any little thing could like throw you off. So having an environment where you're able to just like literally breathe and just be yourself but still get things done is like such a blessing that I don't think like most people even know. And I'm hopefully your team is like well aware of what like an amazing like thing it is to have like just an environment where you're able to just be yourself. But Sarah, I just wanted to like go back to you and see like if you can testify to how you guys' meetings go, that you're just very like comfortable with like how you're treated.
Yeah. Um, I guess during our meetings, I've been doing it for a while since May, but we usually just have to meet because we're all 3 times a week, and even if some of us on the West Coast, so I'm pretty sure everybody else was Eastern Central. Just working on our schedules, making sure that we keep track of like what everyone's doing. If we have other things like school or blah, blah, making sure that we don't the org doesn't overburden us with work or underburden us with other. That's why we've been doing around hours of kind of like dedication towards that per week for us because we're all students. And what we do outside of that is like kind of on us. But I feel like I've been able to get a lot of stuff done for her. That's the time of going then even more free time as a student than I was working and interning with them. So I've been able to dedicate more time and I feel like it's a good balance. So I always look to this project because it's like I can work on other things, but this one is a long term thing that I'm seeing real impact in. just so much passion. So it's like I want to keep doing this, and
Mm-hmm. I think that those are just awesome to have. Just like having passion and love for something so much that it doesn't like matter how long you work on a project, you don't like get bored of it. Sometimes me, I get like squirrel brained. I don't know if anybody else is like that, but like I see something and I look at it and I'm like, oh, this is great. And then 2 seconds later I see something else and I'm like, squirrel, and I like have to shift from like one thing to another. I think that that can definitely happen to a lot of people, and it's definitely hard to like just stay and focus on one thing for so long, over a long time period, especially knowing that it's going to be extremely challenging. So Nola, back to you. I just wanted to ask you, what do you think are some of like the biggest things that you've faced like business wise in like promoting your app?
I'll start with the promoting the app one first. Um, I think because a lot of our users and like the views on the content that we put out in promotion of the app comes from my personal account, and it's kind of like sometimes I feel like it's kind of crowding like what my personal brand was before I created Hair Hub. And then it's a great tool to have, and it's a great like user base to use because they're kind of like combined. So the users that I make content for are the same users that I would ideally want to download the app. But for me personally, I'm kind of losing sight of like the content creation side of where I started, even though that's something that I was really interested in. So I think that's been a challenge. And then just creating a name for Hair Hub away from my name as a content creator. So making sure those are like two separate things has been a big challenge. And then just like with the nature of social media, and just like the algorithms of TikToks, trying to learn that and like optimize that so that we can utilize it to get users. We haven't invested a lot in like campaigning for marketing and stuff a lot. Everything like our user acquisition right now is, oh, I can't talk. User acquisition right now doesn't cost any money. But so that's been a blessing for sure. But I think when we go forward to expand, trying to be more strategic when it comes to that thing. So I think that will be a challenge, and having somebody who's more of an expert in social media strategy, marketing, PR, that type of stuff. And then what was the first part of your question again?
Just I think you've encapsulated a lot of it already, but just like what are the challenges on the business side of
Okay.
running Hair Hub?
I think the challenge on the business side is funding. It is very early stage right now. Everybody that works with me, aside from one person, has ever touched any money from Hair Hub, and it hasn't been me. It was one of our project managers. So it's like we're bringing in people that are really passionate and really dedicated to this and see a vision for Hair Hub in the future, that they're willing to devote their time now to make this happen and reap the benefits of it later. So that's also been a blessing, but I think it's also hard because as a business owner, I want my team to reap the rewards or like have some kind of reward for the work that they're putting in. So I try to think of ways to try to do that too, to make sure that they know that they're appreciated, because I definitely don't want to lose any of them. They are all valuable and been with me since the start of this thing. So I really appreciate having them, but it is tough from a business aspect. So like just finding funding opportunities, being an early stage, the nature of being an early stage startup, and just finding resources.
Mm-hmm. I definitely can see how that's like a problem. I think like what is it? The number one killer of businesses is usually money and funding because they can't find it or they can't fund themselves. So definitely that is so important to just like finding funding. And I definitely think that people who are able to invest their time and see a future for something, even though they're not getting paid, I think is just it's such a commendable trait to have, because it means like it's like higher order, like bigger picture thinking. But to continue on, I wanted to ask you guys like, what do you guys think is the your number one motivator for doing this app and for creating this project?
That's a hard question. Like the number one thing. I feel like I have two. Can I say two? So my first one is just because of how far it has come in such a short period of time. So it's been only 5 months that I've been working with a team, and then prior to that, it was like a year and a few months of me working by myself. So it's like I worked on coding for 9 months. So essentially, I think of Hair Hub as my own baby. Like it's a my baby to me. So it's like that's something that keeps me pushing because I got to see it from such a small phase and see it grow, and now I want to continue to see it grow. But then also, the second thing for me is just my motivator is the impact that it will make because there's nothing like this that exists out there. And how many young Black women or even older Black women who did not get the opportunity to explore their hair, and how beautiful it can be in the different forms that it can be. I think just having those resources and the opportunity for people to do that is my biggest motivator.
Mm-hmm. And Sarah, on to you. What do you think your biggest motivator is?
Yeah, because one of them is like my background. When I was growing up, I literally hated my hair. I go back to think about like where I was with my demographic. There was no like direct like okay, so I'm trying to make a change through the fact that people don't understand because um, it's going to be and now I'm seeing so many good reviews like positives and friends, strangers, you know, this is like really cool. Like even seeing the growth that we've made. Like we went from 1K in a week to 7K in 4 weeks. So it's like we are making crazy progress and that's really motivating to be like, okay, people want to see this. Um, so people are sending me pictures and like, is this you? So like, winning scholarships for this from my university, talking about this, people being like, this is an actual like cool thing you're doing here. I'm like, yeah, and just getting to talk about it with friends, it's really cool.
I love that. And I love how you both kind of like mentioned like this is like almost like for the culture. It's like a for the culture moment. Like this is something that the world needs to see because there is nothing like it. There is not an app where Black women are able to like openly see themselves like at the forefront. And if there are, please correct me in the comments. Um, I think that just it's so important that young girls are able to see themselves in apps like this, see their hairstyles being promoted and not being like used or pushed in a light that's like seen as like ghetto or stereotypical. Because I know definitely for me, I struggled a lot with my hair, like to the point where I just literally just wanted to go bald and wear wigs. I think that during these like times where everybody is on social media and almost like it's almost like you cannot like keep up, that just having a space where you're able to see, okay, well maybe I can try this or I can try something like this or try something different, and having access to something where you're able to see different styles that you've never seen before or be open to different possibilities of trying something or experimenting with your hair is so important. And for all the young Black girls out there, what piece of advice would you guys give them concerning their hair?
I would say that it takes time to learn your hair, but also to listen to your hair because hair is just more, it's more than appearance, it's also about health. So it can take time to learn what works for your hair and what doesn't. It took me years to figure out my natural hair because I haven't been natural my whole life. But don't be afraid to experiment and try new things, but also be patient and know that we all went through that crazy looking phase. So, like, don't be afraid to try new things and, yeah, take time.
Yeah, or piggyback on that, don't be afraid to try different methods, what exactly you are for yourself because brownies. I just like hid my hair under protective style. Didn't even like people thought I was on a braid. Like not like again, be able to just love who you naturally are and I'll be a fan of it because it's something to be something to embrace.
I think what you said right there, like hiding your hair under protective styles, is a point we often overlook because we're just thinking about, oh, like, I just need to keep my hair away. I just want it to grow. I just want it to be out of my face. I don't want to deal with it. And oftentimes that comes in the form of trying to like gaslight ourselves into thinking that like protective styles is the only way we should wear our hair. We should only ever have it under braids or under a wig or in cornrows and flats when sometimes it should just be out. People had their hair out. That's how people came about. You didn't think like, when people were just first evolving, they didn't sit there and braid their hair up. That's not how it grew out naturally out of our head. And I
Right.
think it's just so important to like highlight that your hair on its own is beautiful. That the way that it grows out of your scalp is beautiful and perfectly fine, just the way it is. And with that, this has been Coding Colored Glasses. I'm your host, Lynn, and we're signing out.